find love or die trying. The next day, I woke to the sound of an explosion outside. I ran outside as fast as I could. What the... The first thing I saw was Scarlet, and black smoke emanating from the ground near her. Oh, hey there, Artemis. Nice weather we're having, huh? Hey, Scarlet, you... okay? I'm pretty good, all things considered. I've been experimenting again to try and bring back people's memories, without the whole monkey zombie bit. I figure if you and I ever... well, you know, I'd want us to know everything about each other. No secrets. I'd like that, Scarlet. Thanks. I'll let you know if I make any progress with that. I gotta clean this up. Give me a minute and then we can head to the forest. I've been meaning to spend some time there since I got onto this island. Sounds good by me. We walked together through the forest, hand in hand, talking about the things we'd do after we got off this island. Talking about everything and anything. After we're off this island, whatever happens, do you maybe want to catch a movie together? Sure, but why a movie? You can laugh, but there's a part of me that just wants to be a regular girl for a day. That's something I could never forget. And I'd like it if it could be that way, if I could be that way, with you. What do you say? I'd like that. Yay! Scarlet did a little dance of happiness. We spent the rest of the morning together in the woods, enjoying each other's company, and maybe a little more than that. Somehow, in the middle of it all, I forgot what kind of show I was on in the first place. It was just me and her. In this moment, more than ever, I was glad to be alive. Morning, Artemis! Let's kick off phase 3! Hopefully we can wrap this up quickly and you'll be back to your old life soon. I better be. As nice as this island is, it's a gilded cage. You'll be able to go back to your old life soon, that's a promise. Well, unless you make a mess out of your next 3 dates. I can't help you there. But assuming you do, you'll get to leave here with one of Terra, Violet, or Scarlet. But first, it's time to pick which of them you'd like to go. You'll be going on a 3rd date with today. Who's it gonna be? Well, since we now know that Scarlet was not the one from my dreams, I mean, not that means, I don't know, Scarlet. Can't say I'm surprised there. You're 2 birds of a feather. Here's to hoping you both have a day you'll both remember for a change. It's funnier when you're not an amnesiac. Cat! That's rude! I found Scarlet in the same place I met her. She was engrossed in a book with a pile of books next to her. They looked worn, as if they'd been read over and over through the years. Hey there, Scarlet. What you reading? Hi, Artemis. Just an old fairy tale. Really? I'm surprised you'd read something that would throw science out the window. I'm a woman of varied tastes. I quite like these stories, especially this one. Which one are you reading? It's called The Princess of Avaranda. Really, it's silly. I doubt you'd be interested in... Try me. I smiled at her. She smiled back at me in kind. Okay, I don't see why not. There's a young girl, Nira, who was the princess of the kingdom of Avaranda, which was far, far away from civilization. Unlike other princesses before her, she had no time for politicking or parties. She spent all her time building all sorts of gadgets for her family and friend. Like a robot dog that would eat the vegetables they didn't want to eat. Ooh, I gotta try my hand at this sometime. Scarlet giggled like a child. Nira has a blissfully happy childhood. She even falls in love with a commoner named Aloria. Though her kingdom would never approve of their relationship, Nira and Aloria never failed to see each other in secret. Every night by the crooked trees in the western forests. But those days don't last. One day, her mother, the queen, is taken by a witch never to be seen again, and Nira is forced to become queen at the age of 16. In her mother's absence, Nira does her best to lead the kingdom, and for years it prospers. She's like no other leader they've had before. But secretly, she wants to leave. As queen, she has no more time for the things, or people, that she loved with all her heart. She cries every night, alone. But she knows she can't. Too much responsibility falls on her. Then one day, Nira is cursed by the same witch that took her mother and forgets everything. Her name, her family, her kingdom. Everything, except for Aloria and a desire to leave. And so she leaves, and no one in the village ever sees her again. I won't bore you with the rest of the story, but thanks for listening till now. Aw, come on, believe me, Scarlet, I want to hear this to the end. Especially because you like it so much. I looked deep into her eyes, and I could tell just how much she loved this story. Well, there's really not much left, but... well, Nira and Eloria live a wonderful life in a neighboring kingdom for many years. But one day she remembers everything and rushes home, worrying for her people. When she gets there, she sees her people have been ruled by the very same witch who took her memory, and that her people no longer prosper the way they did under her rule. In anger, Nira confronts the witch on the border of Amaranda. The witch takes off her cowl, revealing herself to be Nira's mother, the lost queen. Nira's mother gives her an ultimatum. She can return to rule the kingdom, but she can never leave again. Or she can leave now and never come back. And that's where the story ends. You never get to know what choice Nira makes. That's quite the cliffhanger. I want to know what happens next. Believe me, me too. I'm curious, what would you do in Nira's shoes? Oh man, this is the worst thing in pop culture. Like, there's so many things where it's like, oh, you can be a jerk to these people for no reason, or you can be a good person. But then every once in a while they pull out one of these, you can either help a lot of people who you don't know, or one person who you do know, and that's the one choice that's always the hardest for me to decide on. Like, there are so many other things where it's like, there is a correct choice here. Whether or not it's the one I want to make, there is a correct choice here. But this one is always so... like, I know... like, what... I know what duty says I should do. I know what my heart says I should do. I don't know what I would do in the situation. I guess the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, but I don't like it. I think I'd stay. Why's that? I mean, I can't just let my people suffer like that. But I would never let Eloria go. I'd find a way to make it work. You're a real romantic, aren't you? I've loved this story ever since I lost my memories. I'm sure I don't have a kingdom or anything, but sometimes you wonder, you know? Yeah, I get the same feeling too. That's just life, you know? You just have to keep moving forward. Yeah, you're right. I'm really happy that you're the one I get to move forward with, Artemis. Me too, Scarlet. There's no one I'd rather be with, right here, right now. And speaking of right now, there's somewhere I want to bring you. Where's that? I'll give you a hint. I've been thinking about this place ever since you mentioned that you love fairy tales. Oh my gosh, there's turtles down here! Turtles! She was practically dancing around the room, taking in all the sights. It was impossible not to smile. I figured the Ocean Palace just might be your thing. Scarlet practically jumped onto me and squeezed the life out of me in a deathly bear hug. This is wonderful, Artemis. Thank you so much. You've made everything so special, in ways I honestly couldn't believe. But you did it. And this is just the beginning, Scarlet. We're in this together. I held Scarlet and kissed her on the lips. It was like an explosion of passion that set me on fire, and she kissed me back and wrapped her arms around me. Always. We spent the rest of the night enjoying a lovely dinner, in a place straight out of a fairy tale, with nothing but love in our hearts and laughter and smiles on our faces. I can't wait to leave this island with you, Artemis. I've never been this excited, this happy, since ever. You make me feel like I'm living in a fairy tale. You know, I've got an idea of how we could spend tonight, if you're interested. And what's that? I'll show you why fairy tales were written by adults. Scarlet! Scarlet, this is a PG, sometimes PG-13 channel. And just like that, that's my last date with Scarlet. Time sure goes by quickly. I thought I'd find you here. Why's that? You tend to come out here when you're lost in thought is all. You're thinking about how the show's almost over, am I right? How'd you know? Lucky guess. Well, it's not over yet, so don't let up just yet. Speaking of which, how was your date with Scarlett today? It was awesome. It was the best. My connection with Scarlett's one of a kind, and there's no one I'd rather have beside me than her. Being married to her would be like a dream come true. Well, aren't you a romantic, Artemis? But I'm happy to hear that. If it's you two, I'm sure that whatever you two face out there, you'll be fine as long as you stick together. And if she stops turning people into zombies. Yeah, that's a conversation we still have to have. Don't forget that in the prenup! Anyway, I'd ask you if you're thinking of choosing her at the end, but I'd rather wait and see how it plays out. You're gonna stay out here for long? Nah, I'll probably be going back inside soon. I'll keep you company till then. I figure you might want to have a conversation that won't get you killed if it's not TV worthy. Thanks, Kat. Don't mention it. You know, I'm curious, Kat. What's up? Let's say I was screwed. That there was no way of me getting out of here alive. That the only way left for me to survive was just to run. Would you let me escape? Of course, Artemis. Thanks, Kat. That means a lot. It's no big deal. We stayed out for a little longer before we called it a night. I'm lucky to have someone I can trust on my side. I woke up with Scarlett in my arms. After talking with Kat last night, I asked Scarlett to join me for one more midnight walk. We ended up talking for hours. Morning, Scarlett. Oh, you're awake. Hi there, Artemis. She was clearly half asleep. I want to invent something that puts this moment into a bottle forever. Then I'd repurpose a factory, mass produce it. Meow, love you. She dozed off as she embraced me in her arms and held me tight. We must have stayed there together for over an hour, but I wish it didn't pass by so fast. I'm so happy, you know. Why's that? No matter how this show ends, we won't be alone. What more could I ask for? I was terrified before, but now I know everything will be alright. Couldn't say it better myself, Scarlett. Anyway, Kat wants you to go on a date with someone else by now, right? Yeah, sorry about that. Don't worry about it. I've got an invention to deal with them later. Sorry, what was that? Oh, nothing. See you later, Artemis. So everybody's kind of vaguely threatening the other, I mean, not all of them, but I can't think of specific threats from Violet or Allie yet, but everybody's at least kind of threatening the other potential love interests. Morning, Artemis. You'll be happy to know that your third date with Scarlett yesterday was pretty well received. Not the highest rated we've had so far, but enough to give us more room to keep going. Sounds good enough to me. For your next date, make sure you pick someone who you think the audience will respond well to. Though at this point, I think you're in a pretty good spot either way. Without further ado, which soulmate candidate is it going to be? Let's do Violet next. Because colors. Violet. You didn't let me down, Artemis. I had my doubts with Violet at first, but now I can see why she's the audience favorite. Don't mess it up. Wouldn't dream of it. I found Violet in the same place I met her. She was taking out a fresh batch of cookies from the oven. Morning, Violet. I slid next to her and grabbed one of the cookies in one smooth motion. Ow, hot. I flung the cookie into my mouth anyway. Worth the pain. Dang, that was delicious. Wait a moment, you silly goose. You never fail to make me laugh, Artemis. I quite admire that. I did a mocking bow with my arms behind my back and put on my best fancy accent. The pleasure's all mine, milady. Stop, you. I wolfed down another cookie. Heck yeah. You do know these are for sharing with everyone, right? I'm part of everyone. What's the problem here? We laughed together at the bit we were performing. Ah, that reminds me, Artemis. What's up, Violet? It's come to my attention that this show will be ending quite soon. Yeah, it is. Oh, do cheer up, please. I don't intend to feel sorry for myself. Instead, I want to use the time we have left here to do something I've always longed to do. And what's that? What I want is to go on a date. The kind that normal people go on. The kind that I've only read about. Having a picnic. Watching a movie at the theater. Long walks on the beach. Even something crazy like a paint night. And then we can watch the sunset go down together. And it'd be so romantic. Her enthusiasm was adorable. She was practically bouncing around the room like a ping pong ball. I think we can make that happen. Can we now? Which one? Why not all of them? She's got the most beautiful smile, dang. Really? You've got to be kidding me. You can count on me, Violet. I'll make it happen. Yay! She did a little cheer and dance. Gosh, I can't stop smiling looking at her. That said, I have no idea what to do. Guess this will be touch and go. It wouldn't be fair if you figured out everything. Let me handle the picnic. She pulled out a basket from behind her. Care to join me in the lovely outdoors? I wouldn't miss it for the world, Violet. I meant to end this episode before we started this date, but here we go. We walked outside for a while, then settled on a lovely spot with a nice mix of shade and sunlight for our picnic. The way her silver caught the sunlight, it was enough to make you believe in angels. She was so beautiful. Dig in, I've brought plenty. Please don't hold yourself back. I've got to be the luckiest person alive. Save that talk for after you try this. I'm letting you have the first bite. Should I be worried? I smiled as she mocked pouted. Just kidding. She laughed and smiled as she spoon-fed me a delicious egg roll. Called it. I'm the luckiest person alive. Not just because the food's delicious, but because you're here next to me, Violet. You made this week so special. I feel the same way, Artemis. And there is more where that came from. You're absolutely right. I've got something prepared for just the two of us next. You owe me one, Artemis. Huh? We enjoyed the delicious food and conversation over the rest of the afternoon. We walked back to the mansion hand in hand, smiling all the while. Next stop, the only movie theater on the island. I didn't know we had a room like this in the mansion. I'm not surprised. Tara's pretty territorial about this room from what I've seen and heard. But right now, it's our very own private movie theater. I did a little jazz hands at the TV. Violet clapped as if I just put on the performance of a lifetime. I made a dramatic bow, then took a look at what movies we had in store. Let's see, we have rom-coms, fantasy medieval movies, war movies, a few superhero movies, and last but not least, a horror movie. I'll put on a rom-com. From what Violet was saying earlier, this would definitely be her favorite. I started the movie, then went back and sat next to Violet with my arm around her. The story was about a girl who moved to a place called New York to become a writer, falls in love with a boy she meets there, and eventually realizes her dream and her love. It wasn't anything special, but Violet was thoroughly entranced for the whole movie. Me, I was more entranced by her. After the credits rolled, Violet practically burst into tears. That was the best movie I've ever seen in my whole life. My whole life! Then how about we take a scene you liked from the movie and turn it into a painting? Oh my gosh, you didn't! Just wait right here for a second. Okay. I had no idea where to find art supplies, but I knew if there was anyone who could, it was Kat. Kat, I think you know the sitch. You've got some nerve putting this together at the last minute, but I like that about you. 4. Set up everything they need for a paint night in the main hall of the mansion. Stat. Aw man, I just finished my shift. Even better, you've got free time for this. And so we started painting on canvases in the main hall. I think I'll paint a picture of us watching the movie. Violet and I watching the movie together. That's from the movie, sort of. This counts, right? What are you painting on, miss? I'm painting a picture of us watching the movie together. It's the most beautiful scene from the movie, you'd know. It'd be a shame not to capture it. You are quite the flirt, you know that? But I like that about you. Her smile could melt the coldest heart. So which scene are you painting, Violet? I'm drawing the scene where the girl runs out in the rain to tell the boy that she loves him. She loves him, whatever. It was just so romantic. She sighed like a love-struck teenager. I could tell she was putting her whole heart into her painting. She captured the scene perfectly. As for me, let's just say I was more focused on making sure people have the right number of heads and was working from there. And hour or so later, we finished and compared our final artworks. She's an incredibly talented artist. Me, not so much. That was embarrassing, but man, it was worth it just to see her smile and break into laughter. Her laughter was interrupted by a gurgle from her stomach. Mother would punish me for sure if she heard me make that sound, but who cares now? Violet was unstoppable at this point. Is it time for dinner? I do believe it is. I volunteered to cook, but she wanted to go back to the restaurant that we went to on our first date. So we did. Apparently she was trying too hard to be prim and proper back there, and didn't actually get to eat as much as she wanted. She ate up a storm. Almost literally. Almost. We spent dinner wolfing down delicious food without a care in the world, and laughing about scenes in the movie and our little artsy adventure. And finally, we went for the long-awaited walk on the beach. We held hands as we walked along the ocean. The waves of the ocean seemed to play music for us as we skirted by. At times, we talked without end. At other times, we enjoyed each other's company in warmth and silence. Either way, we were as happy as could be. We talked about how the past, the present, and future were so different than before because of each other. You know, Artemis, if you asked me to marry you right now, without a doubt I'd accept. I know it sounds quite crazy to say that in such a short period of time, but I just know. She kissed me passionately, with everything she had. And what came next was the perfect ending to our lovely date. Come closer. After my date with Violet, I waited around outside till the time I'd expect to see Kat, except she never showed up. I guess she already had enough footage for today. Might as well try to find her. No one here. Looks like the snacks from before are gone too. Not here either. Ah. Kat was at a table, writing something down at a frantic pace, with one hand against her head. Hey Kat, what's up? Huh? Oh, hey Artemis, I didn't see you there. How are you doing? That depends on what you're ominously writing. I should end this episode. I forgot I was going to end this episode. I'm going to end this episode. Bye-bye.